Well, thank you very much. Shavua Tov, Boker Tov, good morning, and thank you so much for this wonderful invitation to share a few words. I'd like to thank the Canadian Anti-Semitism Education Foundation, Stronger Together, and thank them for all the great work that they are doing. Special thanks to Andrea Spindle, Anita Bromberg, Rabbi Corey Margulies, and of course, it's great to be here with my good friend, Councillor Gila Marto. You know, together we must unite. We must work together to have a united and strong voice to fight anti-Semitism and Jew hatred in all its forms. We must never be silent as the world's oldest hatred raises its ugly head once again. I was asked to take a few minutes to describe the challenging road ahead as Toronto's special envoy to tackle hate. And the road in fighting anti-Semitism over the past 12 years as a city councillor has not been an easy one. People often ask, how can queers against Israeli apartheid march in a government-funded parade? Why do you allow Al-Quds Day rally to take place? Why aren't police arresting members of these angry mobs who harassed us at Jewish events, our places of worship, even restaurants and Jewish establishments? Why are flags of terrorist groups waving in Toronto? At my first opportunity to speak to our new mayor, I gave Olivia Chow a copy of the City of Toronto Hate Rally Policy, which we put together 5 years ago, and a mountain of correspondence from me to city staff asking, why aren't you enforcing this? Shortly after, I got a call from Mayor Chow to be her point person to tackle hate in our city and to attend on her behalf the Strong Cities Network 4th Global Summit for municipalities around the world to share ideas on how their cities fight hate. We all know this is no easy task, for if it was easy to solve, a problem would be solved. Together we must work as one to fight hate in all its forms. It's somewhat ironical that she asked me to be her point person. When I went after queers against Israeli apartheid and tried to get them stopping in a government-funded parade, I was called a homophobe. When I went after Al-Quds Day gatherings, I was called an Islamophobe. And when I voted against a motion to defund the police at Toronto City Hall, I was simply called a racist. In fighting anti-Semitism and hate in all its forms, we face roadblocks. And I just want to quickly take a minute to summarize some of the things that we face as elected officials in the City of Toronto. Now, I'm not using this as an excuse. We must continue to push back on these issues. So there's a Supreme Court ruling that came down in February 2013, and city staff often hide behind it. In Saskatchewan versus Watcott, the Supreme Court set an enormously high bar in this country to reach in order for actions against an identifiable group to be considered a hate crime. It makes freedom of speech supreme in cases where there's offensive and targeted messaging toward an identifiable group. This case is often cited by legal departments in various levels of government to refrain from taking action. This case was used by Toronto City staff to allow queers against Israel apartheid to march in the government-funded Pride Parade, a battle I fought for years. Police services. When an angry mob descends on a public square or to disrupt a Jewish or other event, their goal is not to assign blame or take sides, or their goal is really to de-escalate. They separate both sides, they give warnings to all present, and the goal for police services is to send everyone home at the end of the day. No arrests, no charges, no injuries. Police also cite the Charter of Rights of Peaceful Assembly, the right to peaceful assembly. While the Charter does not protect violence and mayhem that I've seen from anti-Israel mob, but there are no consequences that I can see from these situations, and they are only getting worse. It certainly has. Officers often tell me that when they arrest someone, they are out the next day. So I say, well, arrest them. Let them spend a night in jail. Let them return for a court date. Let's see if they still want to be part of a mob that ruins their career, their family, their reputation, and their community. Moreover, what are our rights to go about our daily lives in peace and security? Why can't we attend our events without being harassed and mobbed? Why can't we have that same right that the mob has? Number 3, action or inaction of the public service. I helped to develop the hate rallies policy, which I mentioned a minute ago, at the City of Toronto. Yet despite its being 5 years in the making, the public service has not taken any action under its provisions, issuing trespass warning letters, trespass charges, recovering costs of policing, angry mobs. And when we have these incidents down in Toronto, it costs police services tens of millions of dollars in overtime. Blocking traffic under the Highway Traffic Act, making charges in that regard. The public service has acted positively in various situations on a one-on-one basis, such as removing the highly deceptive anti-Israel advertising that appeared on TTC vehicles. In summary, the city staff are there to enforce city policy set by council, and quite frankly, they have ignored the will of council regarding our hate rally policy. Inaction of or opposition of elected officials. Many elected officials are reluctant to speak out. While there's a chorus of condemnation when there's attack or actions against identifiable groups, it seems muted when there's general harassment of the Jewish community. Many don't want the harassment that follows many just don't want the harassment that follows them supporting the Jewish community or speaking out in Israel. And when I say many, these are other elected officials. Even at the top, the public service and police services need the political will to take action against hate rallies. And unless they are able to do so, nothing will be done. There was a letter a couple of years ago, I think it was in May 2021, from 24 sitting MPs asking Canada, the Prime Minister's letter from MPs to the Prime Minister, taking a tougher stand against Israel. No balance, no condemnation of the rockets being fired. These were members of Parliament. And remember, Al Quds Day got its start with permits on the grounds of Queen's Park that was supported the Premier of the day, Dalton McGuinty. I want to once again thank you and commend the work of your organization that you are doing, and I want to assure you that despite these obstacles, my office will continue to partner and work with all groups to put anti-Semitism back into the bottle of hate, to disrupt any and all mobs that threaten individuals and community institutions, and for those who try and intimidate and harass us, we will continue to work and make sure that the pillars of government and the advocacy groups of society respond and stop it. I wish all of you an excellent dialogue today. Unfortunately, I have to run to another event. Due to scheduling conflicts, I cannot stay. But to all of you, a Shana Tova, a safe and happy New Year, and may we find peace in the new year to come. Thank you very much.